right, so let's go and visit my favorite part of the site, and that's the kitchen.
All right.
You may think favorite part of the site, and it looks like this. Well, it's in a state of restoration right now, and it's a neat aspect for folks to get to see the restoration process in action. The original wall boards here are what's called bead board, and that dates it to the early 19th century. But you can see this kind of a grayish, drab color on the walls, and that is simply just by all the smoke coming from the fireplace that has collected on the walls. And so these newer boards that we have had to put in will have to be false grained or faux finished to look like aged smoked wood. So that's going to be a challenge.
Well, you get to cook a lot.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that is going to be one of my favorite programs that we're going to offer here at the site. The fireplace is a functioning fireplace, and so we're in hopes that we can do cooking programs and cooking workshops and let people come and actually help prepare.
I know a couple of people that do a lot of cooking.
Oh yeah. This fireplace is also kind of a little bit of a mystery. It's really not that big when it comes to cooking fireplaces. So we think that this chimney was part of an original log structure that was here, that predated the house. The Tipton family owned this land before the Taylors. And so there is an account that there was a large log structure on top of this hill. And so this may have been just the heating and cooking hearth from that Tipton cabin that the Taylors decided just to recycle and use as their cooking hearth.
But you can certainly put several pots, lots of coals out onto that hearth.
Oh, it's a huge hearth, and just amazing how they set that stone.
How thick is that stone?
It's probably about a foot thick, maybe even a little bit thicker. At some point in the site's history, the kitchen and the house were connected with another structure, and during the restoration process, we called that the hyphen room. But through the restoration and looking at the interior walls and the way windows were covered and things like that, it was determined that the kitchen was a separate building, which we kind of thought all along.
Which is typical of the time.
Very much so, very much. Of course, the cook during the time that the Taylors lived here would have been an enslaved African, and anytime I go to a historic site, I'm drawn to the kitchen for some reason, and of course, you can tell why a little bit. But it's because most of the time these places were run by enslaved people, but in the kitchen, it was their domain. Just to think of all the wonderful stories and tales and folklore traditions that were carried on in this room.
It is fascinating.
It's just amazing to think about that. We do have one account from Bob Taylor, Governor Taylor, that mentions when he was a young boy, he was taken to the spot by one of the old slaves who was over 100 years old. He was taken to the spot where Reverend Samuel Doak delivered the sermon and prayer to the Over Mountain men in 1780. So that old slave remembered that as a young child, hearing Reverend Doak speak to the Over Mountain men, and so he took young Bob Taylor to that spot and told him that story. And that just kind of shows us that this history is not that very long ago.
We're here with Chad Bogart of down at Elizabethton, Tennessee, and Chad is very graciously been showing us about the Sabine Hill properties here. Chad, we want to thank you so much for your hospitality.